meet you. I really wanted to, have you come on the show and tell your story and stuff like that.
Hey, it's nice to be here, man. I thank you for like reaching out to me and giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, so what made you become a martial artist? Like what was the influence behind that?
My dad. My dad is the founder and creator of our style, Red Dragon Karate. My dad was my hero, and I wanted to be around him, so I went to the studio and started learning martial arts.
That and I hate that you guys get excluded out of everything because y'all pretty much as important as the Shakur side of the family as well. I just hate that they don't put y'all like in the movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm just glad people, like it and I enjoy the history and
There you go.
Hi.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Hi. Sorry, I never did Facebook Live before, so
Oh, I feel special, for you to step out your comfort zone.
no problem.
Yeah, first of all, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's a good day, so thou shalt not complain.
No doubt, because who wants to hear a complainer? I don't like complainers, like,
Mm-mm.
because you messing up my groove. When you do that,
Absolutely.
like, quit up my groove. But yeah, that's how I feel too. But everything good, like everything that we discussed and the messages and stuff like that. I really wanted to just give people just the example of just being able to be a fighter, but they get that title misconstrued because they make it as if it's easy to do that and to survive, going through certain things. But I already gave people like the footnote what we're going to be talking about, so they
Okay.
won't be I will say out of space or whatever. But yeah, um, again, when I reached out to you, because I used to read your statuses and stuff like that, and it made me empathize with you, and I just wanted to just see how you was and how you was able to you know deal with it from your standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very open and transparent about my life dealing with losing my mother, and I think it's important to me as a social worker, as a therapist, as a future counselor to be able to show people that grief gonna happen. Like there's no there's no way around it. There's and it comes in different forms, and it's an ongoing cycle. This year for me marks 7 years that my mom has been gone. And you always hear the saying like, oh, it gets easier. And the truth of that is it really don't. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
never.
it,
That's
it definitely
the biggest lie ever
it's
created.
not that it gets easier. I think that people find different ways to cope with it and different ways to manage it. But at the same time, um, it's okay to go through the emotions that you feel. So I think that it's important with people. I hear that a lot, like, "Oh, you're so strong," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I put a lot of work into making sure that I'm honest with myself to be real. I have to be honest with myself because if I'm not being honest with me, I can't be honest with nobody else. You know what I'm saying? And that's my job. You know what I mean? Like that's my role is to be able to show people that there's ways to get through things, and I try to do it in a healthy, positive way. Um, but sometimes it don't feel like that. You know what I mean? And that's I want people to know that that's normal. So.
Oh hell yeah, that's normal. And I just really don't like when people try to minimize or make their situation a competition because I used to go through this all the time with my brother and stuff like that, him being gone. is that people will invite themselves to hear me out, but then try to make it as if he was a goldfish or a dog or something in that type of form. But this person existed. This
Right.
person was my everything. Because I would say just how everybody perceived me and my swag, the way I dress, the way that I carry myself was because of my older brother. Because our father was out of our lives. Well, he was out of my life, but my older siblings had the opportunity to grow up with him and stuff. So my brother was pretty much was my father figure to anything. So he was first Superman, first everything. And when he died, I felt like a piece of my soul was ripped out of me. And people just be projecting as if you're not allowed to go through those emotions because they getting something out of you and being in your presence. And you don't know what it is yet, but people are snatching a piece of you as well. So when you unavailable to them, it makes them feel like, well, I know you're going through something, but you can't feel like that because I need you for this particular activity or this particular mission or counsel, whatever. But it's just we lost the sense of empathy
Yes,
in society,
definitely.
and it's almost this year makes it 10 years since my brother passed, and it still feel like day one,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and it still
Okay.
feel like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I just really am proud of myself that I did survive, that I didn't crash out, I didn't fold,
Yeah.
and I just make sure that every day that I'm an example of the choices that you make all of life. Like you're going to be back into a corner. You're gonna have moments when your back's against the wall, but it's always a choice at the end of the day. It's always light at the end of the tunnel. Cause I didn't think I was going to survive that.
Yeah.
Cause for everybody else, and I can only speak for my family and stuff like that. Cause we was already like dysfunctional, but we was close. You know what I'm saying? Like we always remained together, even though I would say it wasn't a healthy structure, but we was always together. And so when he died and everything, I had felt it before I even got the phone call. I didn't know what it was, but it was strange because it's just lingered on my mind all day. And we had a falling out. We said some things. We were just going through what brothers do. So we said some things and just got out of hand, and I felt bad. But we both stubborn and stuff like that. So nobody wants to be the adult a lot of times and apologize and stuff. So we linger on longer than we should have. But that shit really hit me so hard,
Yeah.
and I felt paralyzed. I feel broken, and just talking to you now, I'm shaking about it because
Yeah.
it just never goes away. It's just that trauma never
Yeah.
goes away. But
And that's normal, like that's I hate when people say things like, like it's been a long time, like it's like you still hurting, like it's gonna be okay. It's like those type of phrases are so freaking cliche. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? Like, and like I said, everybody deals with grief, and even everyday problems differently. You know what I mean? So, who am I to tell you that your emotions and your feelings are gonna be? Oh, it's gonna be okay. That's not my place. You know what I'm saying? That's not my role. And regardless of whatever relationship you have with your brother, or even a relationship I have with my mom, it's still there's some connection that I had with this person that had an impact on my life. And to have to figure out and maneuver around these situations, you know what I mean? Like, people on the outside shouldn't have that place to tell you how you should feel or how you should maneuver. So empathy is very important to me. You know what I mean? Having that, I don't have to have the answer for you. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
I can offer a space where you feel comfortable to be yourself and to have those feelings. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle at, as far as supporting people that have lost a loved one or go through any type of grief. And I want people to understand, like, grief doesn't just happen with a relationship or, you know, a family member. Like, you can be grieving losing your job. You can be grieving losing, you know, a pet. Your financial status has changed. Like, grief is a constant thing.
Hmm.
And I think people just associate grief with the loss of a loved one.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and that's where a lot of the misconceptions come in, is that we're just supposed to, as society, we're just supposed to take on, um, you know, we got to keep going. You know, we hear that a lot. Like, we got to keep going. You got to keep going. Yeah, life gonna keep going, but at the same time, I got a new life. You know what I mean? Like, I have to adapt,
Yeah.
and a lot of times people don't realize that. So, you know, even now, 7 years later, I'm still adapting. You know what I mean? Like, there's situations that you don't think about um, in the moment. Perfect example. My daughters had um, breakfast with breakfast with grandparents or something like that at school. My youngest daughter was 2 when my mom passed, 1 or 2. So she doesn't remember her as much as my older daughter. You know, so when my daughter gets in the car and she's like, she's sad, and you know, she doesn't understand why her grandmother can't come to this event with her. So that's another, it's an ongoing cycle, because now I have to explain this to my baby and try to still hold my composure and not break down, because as parents, you know, that's one of our biggest things. Well, that's one of my biggest things. I want my kids to be vulnerable and understanding, but I also want them to know that their mom has them. You know what I mean? So I try
Hmm.
not to break in front of them, if that makes sense. Like, I'm still transparent with them. I still let them know, like, I need a moment, things like that. But I try to also allow them the space to have their emotions, because they're human too. So
Hmm.
her feelings are still valid, because you don't remember your grandmother, you know that there's a void there. You know what I'm saying? So it's my job to comfort her and to let her know that her emotions are valid, and to try to push her to a point where she can figure out what's going to help her cope with those situations, because you're only 9. You know what I mean? You still
Hmm.
got a whole bunch of stuff to go through in life. You know what I mean? So um I think that's a big thing for me, is just being able to create a space where I'm understanding to people without on judgment, and without saying like, no, you'll be okay, or go to therapy, or you know, those type of things. That's not my role. You know what I mean? Like, that's not anybody's role. My job as a person and as somebody close to anybody, because if you have that comfort with me to open up, then I want to reciprocate that, where you still have that safe space, because a lot of people don't allow for you to have that.
No, oh my God. and, and it just be tough to be able to have that openness to certain people, and then they misabuse it. You know,
Yeah.
they take it as, well, what you telling me for, and this and that, and that's not my role for you. But it's really tough to be vulnerable. It's really tough to just show people that, you know, I could break too. Just because I hold it together all the time doesn't mean I don't shed tears. I don't
Yeah.
punch the wall or whatever catalyst that I use to frustrate my anger out on or whatever. That it don't happen to me. It does happen to me a lot, and I just always just going to remember just how people reacted instead of trying to be more understanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was working at the same place that his body was at for 3 days.
Oh
Because
wow.
we didn't know how we was going to pay for the funeral, and at the time, our time clock was by the morgue, so I was scared to go to that time clock a lot of times, and I would just ask my supervisors to punch in and punch me out because I was scared
Yeah.
because that particular time frame, I felt like a little boy again that just lost his hero, and but everyone was on the outside looking in. It was like, okay, you 27 years old, you a man, but it's just when you go through that particular thing, um, it just when you traumatize, it stunts your growth.
Hmm.
And I was 27 for 7 years, and just really trying to regain what I missed out. Just so much time went by, and people were just distracting themselves because they was just looking at, well, I hope he figure it out, but I got my own shit to worry about. You know, I'm
Hmm.
not trying to be selfish. I ain't trying to do this and that. At first, it became bitterness, and now I look at it like it was it's a relief
Yeah.
because I don't need anybody that's in my life that's just half stepping or part time. It's you either in or you can be out. I'm not going to beg you to stay, but I'm also um, reasonable
Hmm.
and I'm sensible because I understand that I was difficult to deal with at the time because I didn't know what to do because they didn't know I would say manual on this type of stuff. You
Definitely not.
just figure out your own way of just coming to grips with it. But I just felt like at that time it was just so much pressure on me because I was the only one working. I was the only one practically helping my moms out, making sure that we had the lights on, the food on the table, and making sure that I excelled. But I was broken at the time. And I don't know what a depressed person look like because people just look at people who depressed like they have a frown on their face and
Hmm.
they got tears coming out their eyes. But a person who is smiling all the time, a person who look joyful, that person is probably breaking deep down inside.
Yeah.
And
The depression, depression has no look.
no,
And you're right. That is one of the biggest stigmatizations of mental health is that they look like they got it together. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of people, I get that a lot. Like, oh, she's so strong. Oh, you're always so happy. You're always smiling. You're always, things like that. Yeah, but for a long time, the masking that came along with that is work. It's draining. It's so draining. It's so much to, put into. And, working in mental health, you see different levels of depression. You see different coping skills. You see different things that people go through. And you don't have to be suicidal to be depressed. You don't have to be diagnosed with a mental illness to be depressed. You don't have to go through, you don't have to have these labels and these things associated with you to be depressed. You know what I mean? But like you said, a lot of times people don't know how to recognize depression. And I think that's because people don't make it a okay space for others to be able to say, I'm not feeling it today. So that's why I try very hard to be transparent. Like you said, you see my statuses and sometimes they're good. Sometimes I'm like, all right,
oh yeah, no doubt,
yeah, you know what I mean?
no doubt.
Sometimes I recognize like, all right, MarChare, you've been having you've been in this funk. You gotta switch it up. You gotta, but a lot of times people don't know that until I say it. A lot of times people don't see um how I'm feeling until I say it. And that's why I make it clear, like, yeah, y'all saw me smiling and everything else for the last 2 weeks. But behind closed doors, I've been in my bed. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like it's just those type of things. So I try to be transparent about it because again, people have this image of me of being this strong person, this strong-minded person. You know what I'm saying? I can carry the weight on my shoulders, which I'm going to, because I have to. But that's not the option that I want. You know what I mean? But I have to do it because this is the cards that I was dealt. So I
Yeah.
try to, tell people your emotions are valid, your feelings are valid. The way that you are going, the thoughts that you have are valid. My job is to help you to find a positive coping skill that can help you not harm yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, or any of those things, because I want people to understand that you can go through grief and there's different cycles of grief. I don't know if you've seen like different times where I posted and I said I'm in my anger season
Hmm.
of grief. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I'm at the anger stage.
Yeah.
And it's recurring. Sometimes I've been in the stage where I'm just sad. I've been in the guilt stage. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just I'm in this stage and I'm over it. No, like there's certain times where I'm triggered and I'm just like, damn, I wish I would have just did this more with my mama. Or I
Hmm.
wish I would have, you know what I'm saying, gave her more grace, allowed her to, you know what I'm saying, come to me, or to, you know what I'm saying, just let her know that it's okay. I wish that I could have not been mad at her for certain things, or you know what I'm saying, like I've went through that stage of guilt. I've went through that stage of, well, questioning, like questioning, like, God, why you do this? Like I've been through I can call it that. I've been through the jealous stage of multiple times, multiple times where I feel like this person did this, and this, yet they're still here. When my mama didn't do that, she didn't do this, she didn't do this, but you took her. You know what I mean? Like I've had those emotions, I've had those feelings. Is it right? You know what I mean? Because
Right.
I don't wish death on nobody, but at the same time, it's a hurt. You know what I mean? It's a hurt where that's just that's a reaction, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's okay. So I try to just open it up to where people see, like, and I think I do that so much because people, like I said, have this image of me that I'm just so strong hearted. I'm strong minded. I push through, all those things. Like, yeah, I do. But at the same time, I put in work too, because and in every season, I'm trying to find a positive way to deal with it. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not putting myself in a place where I'm harmful to myself or to other people. And that's what's important to me.
Ooh. Yeah, you pretty much answered the question. Well, the next question I have for you.
Sorry.
No, you good. No, but I just, man, I soaked all that up. But yeah, it's just one of those things that like you become more, I would say, self-aware, and then you go into self-preservation a whole lot more because you come across a whole lot of, I would say, more people when you
Mhm.
going through all that. And it's just really hard to really point out or pinpoint who's genuine and who's a snake type thing. Like who sent you and what you want and what's your motive and everything.
Yeah.
Because I've been just betrayed. Betrayal never comes from an enemy type thing. So it's just always somebody that was close to you, and infiltration come from the inside. So you just never know, like, okay, is you really genuine, or are you just coming here to see what I'm about, or you here to get some information so you can use it against me later, type thing, or I don't know what you're in my life for, but even I had to stop being so paranoid because
Mhm.
I know everybody isn't out to get me, but I can't help but to feel like that because people didn't really know like the aftermath of
Right.
everything. Because when we go to funerals and stuff, especially family funerals, this family that you ain't seen since you was a kid, but they come for that particular event, and then they go back to their crib, and but when you actually in the nucleus of it, you don't really hear from people no more because they just think
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm here and this and that. I came and did what I had to do, and I'm going back to my life. But a lot of people left me to rot. You know, it just what really hurt me was it was cousins that grew up with my brother and was raised like brothers more than cousins. And they didn't bother to even see how I was doing. But they just
And
saw the change.
right. So this is one thing that I learned dealing with mental health and dealing with grief as a whole.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times we create when we're going through the grief, we create these situations like you said. They didn't bother to check on me. They didn't bother to do this. But at the same time, people deal with things differently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to get out of the habit of putting expectations on people to do things that we ourselves would extend, that we would do. You know what I mean? So I hear you when you saying like it hurts you because these are people that grew up with your brother or grew up with you and they didn't check on me. But at the same time, we don't know what they're going through. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so we have to allow people that space and that grace because um it doesn't necessarily have to be a betrayal. You start to see people for what they are. Absolutely, I get that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that as a society, we put so much expectations. We put expectations on other people because that's what we would genuinely do. And so I learned that too. And
Yeah.
losing my mom, I definitely felt that because these are people that I know my mama would ride or die for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of
Like
course.
these are people that my mama would be like, I gotta go, I gotta go. But in the season of it all, people reveal themselves. You know what I mean? But it's not my place to say you weren't there for me. I didn't have a relationship with you. So you don't gotta be, you know what I'm saying? I can't expect you to be there for me. I don't the relationship that other people have with the person that we lost, we expect because that person had a relationship with them that relationship is going to automatically trigger down to us, and it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. And again, if they had a relationship with your brother or whatever, it's not their role to check on you because they probably feel the same way. Well, he know that we was close, so why he ain't check on me? You know what I mean? And that's where the whole flashing comes in. So I had
Yeah.
to learn that a lot because I felt that. That was one of my anger seasons where I'm like, the way my mama talked about you, the way my mama rode for you, and I ain't heard from now one of y'all in 7 years. You know what I'm saying? In 7 years,
Yeah.
then I have to check myself and I have to say, you know what? I ain't hear from them when my mama was alive. So why do I have that expectation that they're gonna check on me when the only connection we had was my mama? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the only communication that we had was through my mama. So I feel like you should be checking on me, then vice versa. I should be checking on you too, then, right? Because you had a relationship with my mama and you might be feeling some type of way. That's one of those cycles of grief where we feel like entitled. I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
because that was my mama, you should have been checking on me. But my mama was also your sister. My mama was also your best friend. You know what I mean? So we have to remember that everybody grieves differently and everybody has different relationships. So if you reach out and they don't reciprocate, okay, then you know that that's just what it is. But I think that's where a lot of expectations come from when we're dealing with grief. We expect people because of the relationship that we have with the person that we lost, we expect that same relationship to trickle over to other people, and it just don't work like that. It just don't work like that. My mama had favorite cousins. My mama had people she talked to on a regular. You know what I'm saying? But we have to reach out to the people that are for us, regardless of the relationship. Like I have friends that my mama didn't know, you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
because of the relationship that I have with them, they are understanding to what I'm going through and they're here for me.
Yeah.
I can't I can't expect that from my mama friends. I can't expect that from, my mama cousins or like I can't expect that. We have to everybody is going through a loss. Again, just because I have the title of being her daughter doesn't mean that this wasn't somebody's best friend. Doesn't mean that this wasn't somebody's, you know what I'm saying, cousin, favorite cousin, or anything like that.
Right.
So again, we not doing the work that we want other people to give to us or opening up that relationship. We have to change that narrative. And we work ourselves up so much, so much that like, well, F you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you weren't there for me. You ain't do this for me. But they relationship ain't with you. The relationship has never been with you.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we expect that? You know what I'm saying? Like that's we create these energies within ourselves to foster this hate or this unlikeness to other people, or feel that we are betrayed or forgot about. And in reality, that wasn't their role. So the relationships that you have, well, I'm not even gonna say you, the relationships that I have
Mm-hmm.
with my support system
Mm-hmm.
didn't come from people that my mama dealt with, because that ain't their job. You know what I'm saying? They want their job. I had people at my mama's funeral that I ain't seen in umpteen years. And then I also had people at my mama's funeral that I know my mama didn't mess with you. But hey, if you feel like this is your way, by all means, be great, because that's your conscience, not mine. You know what I'm saying? But I can't expect them to reach out to me, or, you know what I'm saying? And I speak, my sister to this day, love my sister. Love my sister to death. My older sister to this day has a very strong feeling towards somebody that she felt like should have been there, should have been there more.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to tell her, we don't know how people grieving. We don't know if that would have been a trigger for them to not be there, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just different things. And I say that to say we have to worry about our own mental space and how we gonna get through. We can't add those layers of, oh, you went there, oh, you went there, oh, F you, oh, you ain't helped me, you ain't say this, you ain't said it, because that's just adding more on you. Adding more on you. You know what I mean? So we gotta be able to I say get in the Elsa stage and just let it go. Like, we gotta let it go, because we got other things that we have to focus on with our mental health to push through ourselves. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you're not gonna extend that same grace that you expected, then there's really nothing to go off of. Like I said, your feelings are valid, but I challenge you to really think about, what did you do to reach out? What did you do to see what these people are feeling as well?
Yeah, I have a couple stories. Well, I had a cousin named Eric. Um, he passed or whatever, but before he passed, because it was like a month before he passed away, right? Because he lived in Germany, but he's from Saginaw, but he lived in Germany because he was in the military.
Mm-hmm.
But one night he had pocket dialed me, right? Because because that's how we would talk through FaceTime or whatever. So we ended up talking for 3 hours, and I just had I was going through my anger season too, my entitlement season and stuff, and he apologized to me because he practically told me that he couldn't do it. He couldn't see my brother like that, and I just thought that because you had your mom, your dad, your sister, you just reconnected with your brother, your little brother, and I thought you was going to be good. I thought y'all was going to be close. I had no idea what was going on internally, and I apologize because I should have found out. My bad and everything like that. But I love you. I've been loving you forever, and I'm going to be here and stuff. So he had passed from heart attack, heart failure, and after that, I never really became entitled again because it just what you just said. It just taught me to see it from a different lens,
Mm-hmm.
and Because when someone is big enough to admit that they're wrong or they weren't there, those people you hold on dearly to life, because everybody don't have the strength to apologize
Right.
or to be able to self-reflect. And I've been able to self-reflect this year. And just like I said a couple of days ago, I called my father, my biological father, because the dad I always be talking about is my stepdad. He died. He passed away, and he lost his big brother too. And I was like 15, 16 years old when that happened, and I saw how much it put a toll on him. And I think the Alzheimer's started that and stuff, and was just able to really see just the effect that it has on people if you're not able to do the work to get yourself back together. Because he never really truly recovered from that. But to make a long story short, I apologize to my dad for how I treated him when he lost his mom, my grandmother. Because I really just thought, like, you could have been at the funeral and stuff, but some people can't handle that. Some people can't take it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is his mom, and then just with my brother, that was his son. And I just, like I said, grief will make you so self-centered. And
Very entitled, yes.
yeah, I was being a jerk, and I didn't really just see how others was impacted by it, even just with my mom. Like, she's so strong, but also it's like she lost her son and her mother in 6 months. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd be real delicate. I'd be so careful how I respond to her, especially when we have our moments and stuff like that. I'd be really careful because this woman is a strong woman, but also she was able to, despite her moment of pain, was able to comfort me and
Mm-hmm.
mine. So that's why I'm always the person to reach out to people who goes through that. When they write a status about it, I'm like one of the people to make sure, like, I'm not here to gain recognition, but I'm here to see how you doing and
Right.
giving you an ear, giving you a hand and a shoulder to lean on and stuff. But I just learned in this year, if you want to grow, some bad habits gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
That entitlement gotta go. That narcissism has to go. And a lot of people ain't ready to have that conversation because, yes, like, it's not always the devil. It's you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You have
Yeah.
to hold yourself accountable
You definitely have to
for
hold
what
yourself
you do.
accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable, and you also have to allow people to go through their own seasons, because just like you going through yours and you wanted grace and you wanted, what I'm saying, to have that, you got to allow other people for that. And that's why I'm so, like I said, I try to be open and honest, because for me, um I've experienced a lot of loss. For me, to me it's a lot. What I'm saying, like losing my dad at 12, losing my mom. My grandmother passed away 6 months after my dad died. Like, so to me, it's going through those things. What I'm saying, those grace. But then in recent years, um, seeing my aunties and like how they don't really talk about it, but at the same time, just recognizing like um my auntie not even changing the house around because this is how her mama had it, or what I'm saying, like paying attention to those type of things. But again, when I'm 12, 13 years old, I don't understand that, you know what I mean? But now as a grown woman and seeing, what I'm saying, different things and different signs, and recognize like, damn, I wasn't there, I wasn't present, and seeing that her mama been gone since 2000. That's 24 years. You're 25, and she still have these emotions. she still has this pain. The house look exactly the same because, but understanding that that's her way of coping with it. That's her way of keeping her mom present with her. That's her way. And who are we to even step in and be like, hey, you need to change this up. You need to move this around. You need to, like that. That's what's making her feel comforted. That's what's making her feel safe. Allow that. You know what I mean? And I think that people just have to understand, like, it's not unhealthy to want to hold on. That's not unhealthy. That's not. And you
No.
hear people say that a lot. Like, you got to let it go. They gone. They're physically gone, but holding on to them is not unhealthy. Holding on to the things that they taught you, holding on to, some traditions that they've had, holding on to those values that they instilled on you, and carrying on certain things, like, that's not unhealthy. That's not unhealthy at all. And people always think like have that input that, damn, you should be over it. You know what I mean? But
You
in
never
7
over it.
years, you're never over it. And like I said, even for me, in 7 years, it literally feels like
Yeah.
yesterday. It
Yeah.
literally feels like yesterday. And then, I get triggered a lot because I'm one of those people, like, I'm a social worker, so I'm writing dates all day long. I could be perfectly fine. I see that date, and it's just like everything is done. You know what I mean? Like, because the mind works so crazy. You know what I'm saying? The mind works so crazy. And as soon as you see something, that's it. You know what I mean? And so I recognize for myself that given through January 12th, I am in a very space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm in a very just down space. And it's not because I want to be. It's just because I know around this time, like, this is the last time I did this. This is, my last Christmas. My mom was in the hospital, like literally in the hospital. My last New Year's was the next day. New Year's Eve is so hard for me because they have this cliche thing with who you going to the new year with is who you gonna be with for the
Hmm.
year. And I hate that so bad. I
Right.
hate it so bad because I went into it with my mama, and literally right after we did the countdown, we went to the hospital. And my mama exact words to me was, I'm tired. I'm tired. But as a person that social work at the time, but I'm not practicing social work,
Hmm.
as a person that not really tuned to aspect of life in this moment. My words to her was, girl, what you talking about? Like, you got kids, you got grandkids, like, you got to keep going. You know what I'm saying? Not understanding that when she's saying she's tired, she's not saying that she's tired. She don't have the fight in her no more. It's hurting her more to try to go through the pain that she's going through. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
hurting her, and that's selfish of me. That was so selfish of me to just be like, girl, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I'm naming off stuff like we need. Like, I need you here for this. I need you here for that. Your kids need you here for this. Your kids need you here for that. Whole time I done completely missed what my mama needed.
Hmm.
The moment my mama needed her kids to comfort her. My mama needed us. And I didn't give her that space. I didn't give her that comfort to know that we had her. And just being present in that moment. And then 2 days later, she's gone. And so it hurts because that's one of those pieces of guilt where, I'm sorry,
It's
that's one of
okay.
those pieces of guilt where, I'm sorry, where you just go back and you just sit and you think like sacrifices that people make to protect you, the
Hmm.
things that people go through to try to just make your life just normal. Like, my mom gave us so many signs. She gave us so many signs, but yet I'm not gonna speak for my sisters because I don't know what they feel. You know what I mean? For me, she gave me so many signs, and I just completely selfish in it and didn't take heed to what my mama needed. I never paid attention to my mama being the baby of 10 and her losing her mom when she was spoiled freaking rotten and not recognizing how her life changed drastically when my grandmother passed away. How she went through depression, how she went through those seasons of wanting to give up. But because she's a mama and we got to keep going, not just taking heed to the struggles that my mama went through is why I'm so open.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get in that space where I'm not available for people to see life. I don't want to ever get in that space. So I try to just have this mind frame like life gone life and it's okay. And I want people to just extend grace to other people because we don't do that. We don't do
Right.
that. Pay attention, listen, just listen to people. You know what I mean? We get so caught up in our lives and what we got going on that when people are reaching out to us, miss it. We wholeheartedly miss it. And those are precious times that we don't know. You know what I mean? So it's just very hard. And so I just try to recognize, like, MarChare, you're gonna go through this. It's not gonna get easier, but we gotta find a way. We gotta find a way to still. I'm a person. I don't want to be in a depressed state. I don't want to be mopey. I don't want to because I'm good when I'm happy. I'm smiling. I enjoy when people tell me your smile is contagious. So I smile a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy when people say your effect on me just from you smiling. Like your smile is beautiful. I needed that. I enjoy that, but people don't really understand. Like I need to hear that because it helps me to keep going. It helps me to spread a little bit of light despite of what I'm going through by just sending a smile because I don't know what you're going through. You know what I mean? A lot of times when I think about like my younger days, when I was angry and mad and bitter, before my mom passed, I didn't have a strong relationship with my mom until I became an adult, until I became a parent. I didn't have that strong relationship with my mom until then. And realize when people when I talk to people from when I was younger, people be like, "You was just so mean. You just so mad. Like, what are you? You just mad." And I sit back and think like, what the hell was I so mad about? You know what I mean? When my mama was going through so much, but yet and still she tried her hardest. She pushed through. She tried to make sure that her kids always stayed up. So remembering those lessons that I didn't know were lessons then is what I try to go by now. I try to still make sure that I can be an inspiration to somebody. I can be a positive thought for somebody. I could send a smile and no matter what, hopefully whatever you're going through, you can see, hey, I understand. I want to be empathetic to people. I want people to understand that your feelings are valid, your emotions are valid. You are human. We are not robots. We are not robots.
Right. Right.
We gonna go through life, and society does not allow people to be soft anymore. Society does not allow people to be vulnerable. Society does not allow people to be empathetic, and I think that's fair, especially in our community, especially in the Black community, especially. We hear a lot, even just living in Saginaw. Oh, it's the Saginaw mindset. It's the Saginaw mindset. People here are just da-da-da-da. No, that's everywhere. But you would think that with the small community that we do have in Saginaw, that people will be a lot more understanding because everybody in this city has been impacted by somebody else being
Mm-hmm.
killed, being passing away, all of those things. Somebody has been. We've all felt it. All felt it. Our
Yeah.
kids have felt it. These, you know what I'm saying? So the fact that we can't create this space of safety for people, without judging or calling them weak or expecting them to just hold their head up or like that's crazy to me. So having the courage, I say for me, um, to be able to just be vulnerable, I'm okay with that. Okay with that. And if me being vulnerable comes off as me being weak, I'll take that because it might be weak to somebody, but it's gonna be very powerful to somebody else. So I'm gonna always try to spread positivity into grief, to make people understand that it's okay. You can be happy today, you can be sad tomorrow, you can be pissed the next day. But the purpose that you're going through it and trying to push through it, all that we can ask. It's all that we can be there for. You know what I mean? And and allowing people, especially in our I can only reach out so far. My hands only go so far. You know what I mean? So for me to be able to, if I feel like I can just be a voice for somebody or be a comfort for somebody, for them to know that I see you, then I'm doing my job as a person. So
So you got me fighting back tears, man. That was
you can have tears. It's okay. It's okay.
cause yeah, and I never revealed to the public how he passed and stuff, but it was suicide, and he died at the Saginaw City Rescue Mission. And to this day, I don't know what really happened. All I can do is accept the speculation, but I was cheated out of saying goodbye. And sometimes I I stay away from that side of town because I want to do something that's outside my character.
Mm-hmm.
So I stay on the other side of the bridge. But and I tell myself every day that I didn't know what he was going through, what he was dealing with, because I was punishing myself too. I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, how could you be so selfish? How could you just, put yourself before your family or the people you love? But it happens. And I refuse to beat myself up about that because we are allowed to have a life of our own too.
You
And
are.
it's just every day I just tell myself, even with the show, because it's not about clout, it's not about money, it's not about fame, fortune, none of that. It's just about repaying him for something that I was unable to do with other people. Because a lot of times when after we wrap this show up or whatever, it was either do FaceTime or video call or just in-person interview after we like wrap this up. A whole lot of people were just like, man, thank you, because you was the only person that actually allowed me to kick my shoes off and
Yeah.
relax and hear me out and
Yeah.
just be able to um again take that mask off, because
Yes.
I interview a lot of rappers and stuff like that, so I don't really get the chance to know their first name or who they really are.
Yeah.
But I do my best to make sure I humanize people, because you were a human before you became a alter ego or a moniker.
Yes.
But I just make sure,
Absolutely.
but I just always make sure, just like with this show, that I give back
Yes.
and just show my brother that I'm truly sorry for saying what I said, not making time for you, um, and wish I could have saved you. But I know you can't save everybody. You can't, like Spider-Man can't be there all the time type thing.
You're
But
right, but I want you to understand that wasn't your role. That wasn't
no,
your role to save him or to do that. So that burden that you're carrying with having that feeling is something that you have to address within yourself. because again, we don't know what he was feeling. If he wasn't talking about that with you, or any of that, so that's one of those things that you have to address within yourself, because it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not something that you could have done differently to make him feel whatever, because at the end of the day, he had to do some work within himself, and that might not have been something that he was working towards. So I want you to understand that wholeheartedly, that it's not you. It's not you. That guilt that you're having and that feeling that you feel like, I wish that I could have saved you, that it's not you. Having that emotion, and wanting to repay your brother, and those are all valid, very much valid. But at the end of the day, it's a lesson that is going to teach you to recognize your own emotions and to deal with your own grief and your own situations in a positive way. And I'm not even going to use the word positive, because what's positive to me might be negative to you. So I don't want to use the word positive.
I would say productive.
Yeah, I would use the word in a healthy way that's not gonna harm you or someone else. Because again, what's positive to me might not be positive to you. Coloring books and all that stuff don't work for me. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that.
Right,
I like
right.
to cuss. So if I want to cuss and say whatever, then that's okay for me. That might not be okay for everybody else. So I challenge you to find something, and I recognize that the radio show helps you with that. I see that.
Mhm.
I see that you're passionate about that. So I encourage you to keep doing that. But I also want you to, I challenge you to dig into the deeper part of you that's still going through it. That's still going through it. And that might be, and I'm not telling you to forget about it, move on. No, never that. But I can see that there's still some hurt and some pain in you and some guilt in you that you're not responsible for.
Yeah, it's
So
yeah, and to be fair, I think that it would never go away, because nothing ever be the same. But I would say that what I learned from all of this was, if that didn't happen, this would have not exist, and none of this would have had happened if that didn't happen. So that's the closure that would have destroyed me, but it enhanced me and enriched me. It gave me authenticity, because I realized a lot of people are hurting, they misinformed, they oblivious to all of this, and that's why I was able to give people that voice. Because if you don't use your voice, then you will go with unheard stories. So what's the best person that can tell your story is you.
Absolutely.
We all have a story, you know what I'm saying? We all have an origin to us. And I was just wanted to make sure people that I wasn't manufactured, I wasn't created. I'm me. This is who I am. I went through hell and back, and I can show you vouchers, like Wayne said. So I just don't fake it for anybody. And people can say what they want about me, but I survived. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm living, and now I'm a businessman, because a lot of people left me for dead. You know what I'm saying? Instead of becoming that zombie, I became that voice. I became that warrior. I became that soldier, to be able to uplift people and to be able to tell people that, okay, you got nothing to be ashamed about, and I'm here for you. Let's sit down, let's have a conversation about it, because I'd rather have you talk to me than take your life. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely.
Because to be a black man and to be black, period. It's a full-time job. It's bullshit for the every day of your damn life.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have just someone come on my show and talk to me instead of causing harm to themselves and causing harm to others because they don't know how to communicate
Yes.
or to be able to convey that. But I'm good. You know, I know that it's going to be something that's going to happen. It's going to be a continuation of these feelings and these frustrations. But hey, I'm in a good space now. I'm in a good headspace, and I just know my duty. I just know my purpose in life, and that's the journey. You know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry also for butchering your name earlier in the
Oh,
episode.
you're
So
fine.
I'm gonna try to put a disclaimer on that, but yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation. You know,
Vice
just
versa. Can't believe you got me on live crying. That's crazy.
hey, so it's the flow. I
Yeah.
mean, so you had me crying. You know, you ain't see me flubbing and stuff. But
It's all good. You know, like I said, my whole purpose is to be able to just be a safe space for everybody, anybody, everybody, because I'm human and life be lifing. So that's all.
yeah,
That's
truly
it. You know what I
does.
mean? And you know, like I said, we just got to be able to give each other grace, and we got to be able to have that space for people to, you know, to be able to feel comfortable and vulnerable and understand that it don't make you weak, it don't make you a punk, it don't make you any less human. It makes you real and it makes you human. Like you just, you know. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. You know, thanks for having me.
Uh, no problem. And we're gonna have to, if you're willing, we're gonna have to do some more parts. You know, we could talk about other things, you know, it doesn't have to be this particular thing. But yeah, you have such a charismatic way just about yourself, and
Oh,
that's cool.
thanks.
That's cool. But yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, anytime you need to talk, I'm here, you know what I'm saying? And um you have yourself a good day. And thank you for giving me a 10 out of 10 episode.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
All right.
All right, bye.
Bye.